Naandwechige-Gamig, WUT Duke Peltier here, and I want to provide you an update in regards to our community's COVID-19 planning and our safety precautions, especially as we're coming into this weekend, long weekend, a Thanksgiving weekend, a time when we typically gather in larger groups and we travel around to be with our family. So we understand Thanksgiving is always that time to gather, and we continues to be a time for family and close friends to come together for giving thanks and feasting with each other. There's also many special events that are happening, typically happen, and we want to remind everyone that we want to keep everybody safe. And we know that we all each love our families and our friends, and some of them do live outside of the community, and it's a time that we think about traveling either here to Naandwechige-Gamig to be with our families and friends, or we travel out to be with our family wherever they are. So we want to make sure that we discuss with our families the realities of this COVID-19 and the pandemic that we're currently facing around the world and here in our community, and especially with the significant spike in cases in Ontario. We've seen throughout the last couple of weeks that the cases have been rising, especially in the urban areas, in the larger cities, Toronto, Peel region, as well as Ottawa. We feel for the people in those centers, and we wish them health and safety, and especially those that are our family. If they live in those areas, we want to ensure that they also continue to remain safe. And locally, the Sudbury Public Health has been reporting as of last night another new case, and we want to remind people that these cases there's still 4 cases active in Sudbury area, Sudbury City, and the district. So we want to ensure that everyone remains safe and takes these safety precautions seriously. As far as the Ontario government, they're reporting 548 new cases of COVID-19, and we want to take some of the recommendations from Canada's Chief Public Health Officer, Dr. Theresa Tam, when she's urging everyone to do some serious planning about Thanksgiving gatherings. And because the spike in cases throughout the country, and that we make sure that we don't inadvertently pass a virus around to those that we love. So we're still hearing all the senses of the government's trying to reopen to what we were accustomed to as being normal, and they're still trying to figure out how to do that. But the risk and exposure of COVID is still very real. And we want to make sure that everyone takes it seriously. So myself and the council, and as well as our pandemic team leadership, we want to urge all of our community members that to keep in mind and practice all the health and safety guidelines in order to prevent exposure and spread of the virus to your loved ones and into our community. So we need to remember that this COVID-19 does not take holidays, but if you choose to gather with others during Thanksgiving, there are basic health and safety guidelines to remember, including ones more specific to how to gather or entertain your loved ones within your homes or within the community. So I'm going to ask Mary Jo, our health director, to outline what those priorities are. So, miigwech.
Naandwechige-Gamig. Ani Mary Jo WABANO, Dishnakaz, Health Services Director for Naandwechige-Gamig. As Naandwechige-Gamig gets ready for family and friends to gather this coming Thanksgiving weekend, we'd like to remind each and every one of you that it's important not to let our guard down in helping to ensure that we stay safe and healthy from COVID-19. That means taking all those extra steps and precautionary measures within our home. And I'm sure we've been practicing on a daily basis what that looks like, wearing our mask, hand sanitizer, limiting the people that come and go from your home. We'd also like to remind you to avoid those crowded places because, again, that would definitely be a risk factor. Although private gatherings up to people of 10 people inside your home would be a limit, we also encourage you to look at the maximum of no more than 25 people outdoors. So thinking of those provincial, under the provincial legislation, those are the numbers that we particularly like to remind our community members to keep those group sizes to those limits. And should you have people come to your home and you want to gather in that larger group, let's encourage each and every one of us to have those gatherings outdoors where it's a little bit more safer. If people are around who are not normally within your social bubble, so your immediate family, again, let's limit that the numbers that you're gathering with so that we have we're maintaining that social bubble to mainly those within your household. It's also important to be reminded that we don't share our food, possibly figure out a creative way to come together and share that meal. It might be you bringing your favorite dish with your family, and if you're gathering outside, it might be your immediate family sharing that dish, whatever it might be. Or you might also think of those family recipes that you normally would share on Thanksgiving, and you might portion it out and deliver it to your immediate family members. So you're still coming together in a different way. And I think those are creative ways for us to celebrate Thanksgiving and to be, thoughtful in that way, so we're protecting one another. So those safer ways of providing our family get-togethers is prominent at this time. So these are just a few simple ways that we can all consider and do our part to ensure that we do not be hit with coronavirus.
So, miigwech Mary-Jo for the reminders. So I want to ask everyone that as you make your plans for this holiday weekend, please assess the risk and ask yourself if it's necessary to gather in person, and if so, make those determinations and decide on how you can make your gathering safer. Included in the reminders from Mary-Jo, remember to practice the basic health and safety guidelines we've been practicing since March, since we've been advised of the global pandemic, and we've taken it seriously here in our community. And some of those things are physical distancing, wear a mask when distancing isn't possible, wash your hands frequently, and if you're sick, you shouldn't be traveling anywhere outside of your home, and that means in the community also. You should be staying home if you're sick. And if you have symptoms of COVID-19, please make arrangements to get tested. That way you'll be assured on whether or not you have COVID-19 or not, because there is a broad range of symptoms that you should be monitoring and you should be aware of. And if you have those, please get in contact with our health center. So continue monitoring yourself for any symptoms, especially when you travel outside of your home, and if you're traveling outside the community. If for those of you that are traveling across the international border from King or the USA and coming back to the community, we want to remind you that you should be self-isolating for 14 days if you have to cross the border. And anyone that's considering traveling this weekend, have that talk with your family about what you've been doing and where you've been, and in the 14 days prior to traveling. So you should already be aware of where you're keeping that journal, as we've reminded people to start doing. Keep journaling and keeping notes on where you've been, who you've come into contact with, because that's going to be helpful should you contract any symptoms and you get tested, and if you become confirmed positive with COVID-19, that's going to help all the health team ensure that it doesn't spread any further. So our leadership here at WUT and the pandemic team, led by the Naandwechige-Gamig, our health center, will continue to keep all of us updated and on any new information, advice, and guidelines aimed at keeping our community safe and healthy. So please think about how, when you come together this weekend with your loved ones, plan your celebration, plan how you're going to be gathering, and include all these recommendations in order to protect everyone. So, Chimigwech, Gibizindoyin.